Imagine sitting down at your computer, turning it on, and feeling absolutely no anxiety about updates, breaking your workflow, licenses expiring, ads creeping into your start menu, or hardware suddenly being declared obsolete. Imagine an operating system that simply works year after year without demanding that you constantly relearn it or fight against it. That is the promise behind the idea of a Linux distribution made for 99% of people forever. This is not about power users compiling kernels at 3 in the morning or developers living in terminal windows full time. This is about everyday people, students, teachers, office workers, creators, retirees, small business owners, and families who just want a reliable, fast, secure computer that respects their time and their intelligence. For decades, Linux has carried a reputation that has been both unfair and selfish. On one hand, it has been seen as too technical, too fragmented, and too confusing for regular users. On the other hand, the community often focused more on flexibility and choice than on simplicity and long-term stability. But something fundamental has changed. Over the last few years, Linux distributions have quietly matured into something that can genuinely replace mainstream operating systems for almost everyone. A Linux distro made for 99% of people forever is not a fantasy anymore. It is a realistic goal that is already being achieved in practice. To understand why this matters, we need to think about what most people actually do on their computers. The vast majority of users browse the web, watch videos, attend online meetings, write documents, manage photos, listen to music, and occasionally do creative or professional work. They want the system to boot quickly, connect to Wi-Fi without drama, recognize printers and Bluetooth devices, and not slow down over time. They want updates that improve things, not ones that force a redesign of their workflow every year. They want privacy by default, not as an optional setting hidden deep in menus. And above all, they want stability, the feeling that their computer will behave tomorrow the same way it did today. A Linux distro made for 99% of people starts with a familiar desktop environment. Familiar does not mean outdated, it means intuitive. Menus are where you expect them to be. Windows open and close predictably. Settings are clearly labeled in plain language. You should not need to understand what a package manager is or how a display server works. Everything important should be accessible through graphical tools that are fast and responsive. Under the hood, Linux can be incredibly complex, but the user should never be forced to confront that complexity unless they choose to. One of the biggest strengths of such a distro is its approach to updates. Instead of constant disruptive upgrades that feel like forced migrations, updates should be incremental, reliable, and optional within reason. Security updates should happen quietly in the background without interrupting work. Feature updates should be predictable and well-tested, arriving on a schedule that values stability over novelty. The goal is not to chase every new trend, but to provide a solid foundation that people can trust for years. When users hear that a system is supported for a long time, they should feel relief, not fear. Performance is another key pillar. A Linux distro made for 99% of people forever should run well on both new and older hardware. It should not require the latest CPU or a massive amount of RAM just to feel responsive. Linux has always been efficient, but modern distributions have learned how to balance efficiency with polish. Animations should be smooth but not heavy. Background services should be minimal. The system should feel fast even after years of use, something that many users no longer expect from their computers. Software availability is often cited as a concern, but in reality, this has become one of Linux's strongest advantages. With modern packaging formats and app stores, users can install browsers, Office switches media players, communication tools, and creative software with a single click. Web applications further blur the line between platforms, making the underlying operating system less important than ever. A Linux distro made for 99% of people embraces this reality by making app installations simple, safe, and consistent. No hunting for random downloads, no worrying about malware disguised as installers. Everything should come from trusted sources, clearly labeled, and easy to update. Office work is a critical use case. Documents, spreadsheets, and presentations are still central to everyday computing. A distro designed for the masses ensures that Office software works out of the box. With excellent compatibility for common file format, it should integrate seamlessly with cloud storage services, email accounts, and online collaboration tools. Users should be able to open an attachment, edit it, and send it back without thinking about what operating system they are using. When technology disappears into the background, it has done its job. multimedia support is equally important. People expect their computers to play videos, stream music, manage photos, and handle common audio and video formats without extra steps. A Linux distro made for 99% of people does not treat multimedia as an afterthought. It ensures that codecs are available, hardware acceleration works properly, and media applications are polished and reliable, whether someone is watching a movie, editing a short video, or just organizing family photos. The experience should be smooth and frustration. Hardware support can make or break an operating system for everyday users. Printers, scanners, webcams, graphics cards, and Wi-Fi adapters all need to work reliably. This is an area where Linux has made massive progress, largely thanks to better kernel support and cooperation from hardware vendors. The distro built for the long term chooses components and drivers that are well supported and stable. It prioritizes compatibility over experimental features. When a user plugs something in, it should just work, or at least guide them clearly if additional steps are needed. Security and privacy are often invisible when done right, and that is exactly how they should be. A Linux distro made for 99% of people forever takes security seriously without turning it into a burden. The system should be secured by design, with sensible defaults that protect users from common threats. Updates should patch vulnerabilities quickly without requiring constant reboots or technical knowledge. Privacy should be respected as a core principle, not as a marketing slogan. There should be no hidden data collection, no forced accounts, and no ads baked into the operating system. Users should feel that their computer belongs to them, not to a corporation. Another crucial aspect is community and support. While most users will never visit a forum or read documentation, knowing that help is available matters. A distro designed for the masses fosters a welcoming, helpful community that values clarity and patience. Documentation should be written in plain language, with step-by-step guides and clear explanations. When something goes wrong, users should be able to find solutions without feeling overwhelmed or judged. Long-term success depends not just on technology, but on how people are treated when they need help. Longevity is perhaps the most important promise of a Linux distro made for 99% of people forever. This means long-term support, predictable release cycles, and a commitment to backward compatibility. It means not breaking user workflows for the sake of change. It means understanding that many people use their computers as tools, not as hobbies. A system that respects this will earn trust over time. When users know that they can install an operating system and rely on it for years, they are far more likely to adopt it and recommend it to others. This idea of forever does not mean stagnation. It means thoughtful improvements should be made carefully with user feedback and real-world testing. New features should enhance the experience, not complicate it. Visual updates should refine the interface, not reinvent it every few years. Under the surface, the system can evolve continuously, benefiting from improvements in the Linux kernel, graphics stacks, and application frameworks, while presenting a stable, familiar face to users. One of the quiet strengths of Linux is its independence. A distro made for 99% of people is not tied to a single company's business model. It is not driven by the need to sell ads, collect data, or push subscriptions. This independence allows decisions to be made in the best interest of users. It also ensures that the system can outlive trends and corporate shifts. As long as there is a community and a commitment to maintenance, the system can continue to exist and improve. Education is another area where such a distro shines. Schools and universities need reliable, affordable, and secure systems that can be deployed at scale. A Linux distro designed for everyday users fits perfectly into this role. It can run on modest hardware, reduce licensing costs, and provide a consistent environment for learning. Students can take the same system home, install it on their own computers, and continue working without barriers. Over time, this familiarity helps normalize Linux as a mainstream option. For families, a stable Linux distro offers peace of mind. Parents can set up computers that are safe, fast, and free from intrusive advertising. Children can use them for homework, creativity, and exploration without being locked into proprietary ecosystems. Updates are predictable, and the risk of malware is significantly reduced. The computer becomes a shared household tool, not a source of constant troubleshooting. Small businesses also benefit from an operating system that just works. Reliability, security, and low maintenance costs are critical. A Linux distro made for 99% of people can serve as a dependable platform for everyday business tasks. from accounting to communication. It reduces dependency on expensive licenses and gives businesses more control over their technology. Over time, this can translate into real savings and greater resilience. The beauty of this vision is that it is not about convincing everyone to become a Linux enthusiast. It is about making Linux invisible in the best possible way. When people stop thinking about their operating system and start focusing on what they want to do, the system has succeeded. A Linux distro made for 99% of people forever does not ask users to adapt to it. It adapts to them. As more people discover that such systems exist, the narrative around Linux begins to change. It is no longer the alternative for the technically inclined, but a sensible practical choice for anyone who values stability, performance, and freedom. The more this idea spreads, the more software developers and hardware vendors take notice, creating a positive feedback loop that benefits everyone. In the end, the idea of a Linux distro made for 99% of people forever is about trust. Trust that your computer will not suddenly change its behavior. Trust that your files will remain accessible. Trust that your privacy will be respected. Trust that the system will continue to be supported and improved in meaningful ways. This trust is earned slowly through consistent design, careful updates, and a clear focus on user needs. We are living in a time where people are increasingly frustrated with technology that feels disposable and intrusive. Against this backdrop, a stable, respectful, long-lasting operating system is not just appealing, it is necessary. Linux, with its open nature and collaborative development model, is uniquely positioned to fill this role. A distro made for 99% of people forever is not about perfection. It is about reliability, simplicity, and respect. When you install such a system, you are not just choosing an operating system, you are choosing a philosophy that values longevity over hype, users over shareholders, and freedom over lock-in. And for most people, that choice can quietly improve their daily digital lives in ways they may not even notice at first. Their computer simply works, day after day, year after year, and that is exactly the point.